Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Greetings and salutations. You are tuning in to the Disgruntled Millennial portion of the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. My name is Brett Segal, the Disgruntled Millennial, broadcasting to you live from my safe space down here in northern Florida, where I'm always free from your bigotry, racism, hatred, microaggressions, and patriarchy. It is a gorgeous Friday afternoon, and the weather is starting to change. It's actually getting really, really beautiful out here in northern Florida. I'm not going to tell you exactly where I live because I live in a bunker. It's a bunker in North Florida where I am absolutely free from all your bigotry, racism, hatred, microaggressions, and patriarchy. I want to talk a little bit today about the language that we use. How comfortable, how cozy we've gotten with the language of the left. Don't you notice how cavalier, how blasé they are, leftists are, about their hatred for white people? And if they're white, of course, they have white guilt. You have these white guys going, we have to stand up against the patriarchy. And like, you're a white man. What are you talking about? Like, were you saying you should just kill yourself? The language of the left is so racist that to even suggest that someone could be racist against a white person, they don't even call that racism. They call that reverse racism. When you use the language of the left, when you start saying reverse racism, you're basically acknowledging that white people are the only racist people, that somehow to be racist against white people is to reverse racism. How is that reverse racism? Technically, reverse racism would be not racist at all. Or it would be like, instead of hating someone for the color of their skin, it would be liking someone for the color of their skin, right? Isn't that what reverse racism would be? But leave it to the left to screw with your language and thereby screwing with your thoughts. Reverse racism. Think about that for a minute. How is it racist to call someone an N-word, but when someone calls you a honky or discriminates you against you because you're white, that's reverse racism? I thought it was just racism. And that's exactly the kind of language that divides people up into identity groups. When you buy into the language of using reverse racism versus racism, you are basically buying into the fundamental premise that white people are exempt from certain considerations. For example, crime perpetrated on white people because they are white. Racially charged crimes against white people. Somehow that's reverse racism. Now, I hear a lot about Richard Spencer and about the alt-right and the alt this and that. Richard Spencer, he's a neo-Nazi. He's a white supremacist. Why don't we hear about black supremacists? Like Black Lives Matter, they are black supremacists. I went to a Donald Trump rally before he got elected, and this was actually one of the reasons why I moved to North Florida, because I went to this Trump rally and everything was just, there was so much diversity. This was in northern Florida, the reddest part of Florida. And it was just the most amazing kind of culture shock, because I've grown up in this politically correct South Florida, and then I come to North Florida, and it's actually way more multicultural and way more diverse, and people are way more accepting up here than they are in South Florida. South Florida, the place that, the bastion of liberalism, where everyone talks about tolerance and acceptance. And anytime I would suggest maybe moving a little bit farther north, I hear things like, oh, you just want to fly over that area. It's a bunch of rednecks and a bunch of racists and a bunch of Confederate flag waving Nazis. It's really not. It's not at all. In fact, the only racism that I have experienced up here is racism versus white people. You would call it reverse racism. I call it racism. When I got to this Trump rally, the first thing I saw was a Black Lives Matter protester calling for segregation. He wanted separate states. He said, we want 5 states. We need 5 states where we can be separate. The white man and the black man can't get along. Now imagine any white person going around saying that. Imagine a white person showing up to a rally and saying, we want to bring back segregation. I mean, it just sounds so gross and so nasty. I just don't know how, when it is on the other side, when the shoe is on the other foot, that people don't think the same exact way. I was raised by a black woman. I bet y'all didn't know that. My mom, after my father died from hemophilia-related AIDS in 1988, my mom enlisted the help of the most beautiful, amazing, big, beautiful black woman, and that's who I was raised by. She was like my dad. She is the one who taught me about the N-word. Because I didn't even know what the N-word was when I was a kid. Of course, nobody knows what that word is when you're a kid. And there was some kid that was in school, and he was singing Jingle Bells, Batman Smells, Robin laid an egg, pulled the trigger and shot up, something like that. And I sang it in the car, having no idea what the word even meant. It's just something I heard. She stops the car, she pulls over, and she basically gives me the rundown. And then I understood why it was a bad word. I understood why it was so offensive. And she didn't hate me for it. She wasn't like, you little white boy. She did not chastise me. She was teaching me a lesson because she understood exactly what was happening there. She understood that I was just a kid and that I needed a little bit of schooling, and that's what she was there for. But you live a little bit, and then you grow up a little bit, and then you come to realize, wait a minute, there is no equivalent word for white people. There is no word. Of all the words, whip cracker, honky, with all the words that there are used to describe white people, nowadays they got words like caucasoid, cockadevil, white devil. There is no one word, no one phrase used to describe white people that is universally condemned like the N-word. And that is that is institutional racism, right? The universal acceptance of racism? Not reverse racism, racism. It is universally accepted to be racist towards white people. It is universally accepted for white people to acknowledge their guilt. The guilt of having been born in white skin. And they like to say all this, driving while black. Oh, I was driving while black. That is such horse pucky. That is such horse manure. Driving while white. Driving while black. Driving while Hispanic. It all sounds like racism to me. The first part about defeating the left is not playing their damn games anymore. Their damn language games. Tweet me at Shaq General. We'll be right back.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments. Security Tax Associates is here to ensure that the appropriate steps are taken to permanently eliminate any possibility of future tax burdens once and for all. For a free, no-obligation consultation, contact Security Tax Associates, 844-779-4177. That's 844-779-4177. 844-779-4177, or visit them at securitytaxassociates.com.
Beth Cook Moranville, author of Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope.
Hope, that wonderful, wonderful four-letter word that you may feel completely out of. I wrote this book to give you great hope. It's not too late. If fetal position is an all too familiar place for you, I understand. If the next 60 seconds are too long, this book is for you. Wherever you are right now, whether you're dealing with divorce or death or sickness, take hope. You are going to make it through this pain. Don't roll your eyes. I've walked this road and I know it. The best is yet to come.
Closer Than Your Breath, a book of hope from author and speaker Beth Cook Moranville, can be found on Amazon.com or Kindle.com. For more information, visit closerthanyourBreath.com or on Facebook at Closer Than Your Breath.
Jackson Radio Show.
Rich white girls. All I'm doing is wasting my time chasing rich white girls. Yeah. All they do is bitch and they whine. So tell me, what could I give you that your daddy can't give you, baby? What could I give to a rich white girl? They only love me when I pay them no mind. Your purses, your girlfriends, your love of hurting me. My new car, my new house, my insecurities. You kiss me as if it's a favor done for me. Ooh. And dating a man like me is just a change in scenery. 'Cause you never learn what it's like to treat someone decently. You're just a rich white girl. And all I'm doing is wasting my time chasing rich white girls.
You see how enmeshed in our culture this racism towards white people is? It's popular. It's totally okay. Imagine if the song were written in reverse. Rich black girls. All I'm doing is wasting my time chasing rich black girls. Unbelievable. And this kind of stuff gets a total pass. Gets a free pass. You know why the left likes to do this? You know why it's just totally acceptable in the culture? Because they have their little formulas to decide whether or not something is racist. It's prejudice plus power equals racism. And somehow, to the left, prejudice is all of a sudden okay. It's okay to be prejudiced. Prejudice, the root word of prejudice is prejudge. To prejudge. Why is that okay? Why do you need to add the power aspect of it in order to make it racism? Because that's what the left says. They say it's not racism. White people, black people cannot be racist because they don't have the institutional power to act on that racism. So they can be prejudiced without being racist. And somehow it's okay to be prejudiced. To prejudge. Imagine every judge in the criminal justice system prejudged their cases without actually hearing anybody out or looking at the individual merits of the case. How is that a good thing? How is that okay? Because folks are fine being prejudiced. They just don't want to be racist. To be a racist, now that's the real crime. And if you are racist, you can't express yourself. They don't want you to express yourself. Personally, I'm glad that these folks are out there writing songs about how terrible they think white people are. I want to know where the racists are. I want them to speak their racism loud and clear. So I can get a good, strong whiff of it so everyone can see who the racists are. The left wants to censor people like Ben Shapiro, like Ann Coulter, like Milo Yiannopoulos, like Richard Spencer. The left wants to censor all of these people. The left wants to censor us because they know deep down in their hearts that they are the racist ones. That they are the ones that only see things in terms of identity, that only see things in terms of race. And they know that the moment that you realize that common sense takes over, when prejudice plus power equals racism, like it's some sort of algebraic equation, makes no sense at all. And they know that once you think about it, once you give it 2 seconds of thought, of actual thought, you are going to realize who the real racists are. You are going to realize that it is the left who is constantly looking at identity politics. The racism of the left. That we don't even stop and think about the institutional aspects of their racism. We don't even stop and think that BET, Black Entertainment Television, imagine the roles in reverse. White entertainment television. Entertainment for white people. What about just entertainment for people? The Congressional Black Caucus. This goes as far up as the government, the federal government. The Congressional Black Caucus, they only deal with black issues. Imagine there were a group in Congress that only dealt with white issues. Here's what they'll say. They'll say, well, you know, the entire world, the entire country is a congressional white caucus. Most entertainment is white entertainment television. It's a given, so of course we need black entertainment television. Now, do you think having organizations like that, the BET, Black Entertainment Television, the Congressional Black Caucus, the organization in the government that only deals with black issues, do you think that that helps racial harmony? Or do you think that hurts racial harmony? Because that's what a lot of these folks like to say. They like to say, oh, we need more diversity. We need less racism and more diversity. How is making an organization only dedicated to black people helping racial harmony? You got Black History Month. You have Hispanic History Month. What about White History Month? And then they say something so racist. They say all history is white history. Wow, you really, really hate white people. You really, really hate yourself, don't you? That's how you see yourself? Minorities or people of color or black people, brown people, that's how you see yourself? Because that's not how I see you. I see us all as a part of this big, amazing thing called humanity. We are all a part of the big history, the big whoom, whoom, the big oscillation, the big back and forth. We're all a part of it. And it just makes me sick to my stomach because it's so blaring. It's so blaring to me how people can just look at any tiny little thing, minor infractions, and call it racism and white supremacy. But yet people can go out there and mouth off about black entertainment television, Congressional Black Caucus, everybody is racist, you're a racist, he's a racist, you're all racists. You're white supremacist because you're white. I don't like you because you're white. You haven't acknowledged your white guilt. You haven't acknowledged your white privilege, so we don't like you. You aren't woke. Let me tell you something. If I have to castigate myself and immolate myself and kneel before the altar of political correctness in order for you to think that I'm woke, well, I'd rather stay asleep. If being woke means waking up every morning with this burning pit of hatred for people that you don't even know, for people that you haven't even met, for people who have done nothing wrong to you, to me, that sounds like a horrible, horrible, horrible way to live. Just filled with anger and rage. These Antifa people, they know it. They know it too. That's why they put on their masks. Because they know deep down that they are doing yeoman's work for the devil. That they are engaging in evil. They know that going around town talking about whiteness, they know that it's just as racist as talking about blackness. That there is some sort of implicit evil in it about being white. That being white is some sort of, that white people ought to wake up in the morning and atone for the color of their skin. It's disgusting, it's rude, and our kids are learning it. This is what our kids are learning in college. Tweet me at Shaq General. We'll be right back.
This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show. This is the Kevin Jackson Radio Show.
Are you feeling guilty about your white privilege? I can't eat the watermelon and fried chicken because that's cultural appropriation. Do you have any white people food? Is white supremacy getting you down? Sorry, we have to take the long way, okay? I don't go down any streets named Jefferson or Washington because they had slaves, and that's totally racist, and it's white supremacy.
Do you want to finally be forgiven for slavery?
I need to call my friends, Shaquita, Shaquanda, and Terrence, and let them know that I'm sorry for slavery and institutional racism and white supremacy.
Well, for a limited time, the Kevin Jackson Radio Show is offering KJ Repair, a fast-track white guilt credit repair program that will free you from the oppressive and debilitating shackles of white guilt. Yes, that's right. Say hello to acknowledging white supremacy and say goodbye to white guilt. All you have to do is listen to the Kevin Jackson Radio Show 3 hours a day, 5 days a week, and you will get the highest quality in reparation reparations credits. For every hour that you listen to the Kevin Jackson Radio Show, you will be forgiven for 1 full hour of slavery. Not 20 minutes, not 10 minutes, not 5 minutes like some of our competitors. At that rate, you'll have white guilt forever. No, at KJ Repair, for every hour that you listen to the Kevin Jackson Radio Show, you will be forgiven for 1 hour of slavery. That's right, 1 full hour of slavery. Poof, like it never even happened. Say goodbye to the burdens of your melanin deficiency for only 3 hours a day, 5 days a week by listening to the Kevin Jackson Radio Show Monday through Friday. Time is running out. You must act now before American slavery is completely forgiven worldwide. If you sign up today, we will forgive you for 30 hours of slavery absolutely free. That's right, 30 hours of slavery absolutely free.
This offers for straight white men only. Blacks, Hispanics, women, gays, trans, and Muslims need not apply. Reparations credits are non-transferable.
Reparations credits are non-transferable. That's right. You individually have to atone for the color of your skin. Otherwise, that's it. You are just condemned. You're condemned to heck. You're condemned to the hot place. Now, where are these racists? I want to know. Tweet me at Shaq General. Where are these racists out there who are going around saying that we need to kill all black people and we need to do a Holocaust with the black people instead? Racism. Now, what do you call a white guy who categorically refuses to date black women or white women who categorically refuse to date black men? Not because it's an attraction thing. I mean, I understand who your body is attracted to. Like, for example, I am attracted to females, and I don't care if you look like a female. Like, if you have transitioned into a female, it's just not going to happen. It's just not going to happen. I don't have any racial scruples. There's no one race that I would prefer to date. But I need you to be a woman. Now, that's bigoted to some people, but I do have standards. But at the same time, what would you call someone who refused to date someone of another race? Not because of attractiveness. I'm talking about because of racism. You would call that person a racist, right? Now, I found this lady on the internet. She is so utterly brazen. And this is what happens when social justice warrior education gets enmeshed in our system. That when people literally start to think that they cannot, that it is a literal impossibility for a black person to be racist. You can go around and say the most disgusting, nasty things about people with impunity, or at least in your own mind. That you can go around saying the most nasty, racist things, and in your own mind, you're still a decent, awesome, human-loving person. You're just a great person. Because when you dehumanize the other side, when you dehumanize the other race, you can say whatever you want about them and not feel bad because they're terrible. They're not human. Let's hear from a perfectly normal black lady who just hates white people. She just hates white people. She calls them cauca-devils. Caucasoid devils. Cauca-devils. She's got videos like how to deal with cauca-devil social media stalkers. They hate the fact that I won't date them. Why I won't date white cauca-devils. She's literally got videos about why black people are superior. And it's like things like, oh, because white people get sunburns. Okay, well, black people get sickle cell anemia. What's your point? All I'm saying is that if this were like, okay, Richard Spencer, I might disagree with some of the things that he says, but he is nothing like people like this. He is nothing like these black racists who literally want genocide, who literally want white people to die out. You know, I actually listened to some stuff that Richard Spencer said the other day. He's actually pretty reasonable. I know you might not think so, because he's like a hot potato. You know, you can't touch him. If you touch him, if you talk about him, then you're validating him. You're validating his point of view. You have to go around thinking, well, if I even watch a Richard Spencer video, does that make me a white supremacist? The guy is really not that bad. I actually want to have him on the show sometime to do an interview with him, because he's actually a pretty reasonable fellow. It's the SJWs who can't have a conversation, and they're the most racist of all.
As you all know, I'm not a fan of interracial dating. I think it's very counterproductive for black people to specifically date white people while we're in a society that has a lot of racism towards black people that's specifically perpetuated by white people. I think this is very counterproductive. I've already expressed my distaste for interracial dating. I've already stated several times that I do not date white men at all. I only date black men. I literally don't date outside my race. If I was going to be open to dating outside my race, it still wouldn't be a white person. I just don't believe that black people should be dating white people. I think we should really have voluntary segregation.
Voluntary segregation? Really now? You want to go back to Jim Crow? You see, a lot of these books, a lot of the people who tell me about racism and about institutional racism, they tell me to read a book called The New Jim Crow, which is basically a bunch of garbage about institutional racism, about how white people are so terrible and it's the white man that's keeping the black man down. A brother can't open his mouth without the white man to slap him down. That's what the book is. This is what they refer to. But these people actually do want voluntary segregation. But they don't want the white people to do it. They want to be the ones to do it. They want to be the ones to initiate the segregation. If the white person initiates segregation, oh, he's a Nazi. Now, I don't know one white person who wants to initiate segregation. Richard Spencer doesn't even want to initiate segregation. The most that he said, the worst thing that I've heard him say, which is really not that terrible, is that people should be allowed to marry who they want and people should be allowed to preserve their race if they want to. Not to kill other races, but people have a right to marry who they want. And if that's for racial reasons, then that's their prerogative, which I think is fine. I don't care about that. As long as you're not hurting other people, they can't tell you who to marry. You can marry who you want. What gets me is that, for some reason, every other race other than white people gets a free pass at racism. Listen to this lady. Listen to this lady some more. Listen to how she refers to white people. It's disgusting.
This sexual degeneracy that these demonic entities display. I've also said constantly, young or old, male or female, foreign or domestic, rich or poor. You can put a lot of other adjectives attached to that. It doesn't matter the status. A devil is going to be a devil. The only thing that has changed is the era of time. And what kind of irks me is the fact that Black people go around absent-mindedly thinking that they're dealing with something else, although they're dealing with the offspring of devils. That's just a reality of what it is. We need to pass the message that nothing in this demonic mentality has ever changed. A devil in 1717 is going to be the same devil in 2017. That's just a reality of what it is. It has not changed. The only thing that has changed.
All right, Cynthia G from YouTube. Listen, let me ask you this, all right? I'm going to ask you something, Cynthia G, because right now you are being spoken to by a cauca devil. I am a cauca devil, caucasoid devil. Because of the color of my skin, I am a devil. So you know what? I'm going to ask you something. If you are so against whiteness and white people, why are you using white technology in order to get your point across? Why are you using a computer designed by a white man? Why are you using a microphone designed by a white man? Why are you using electricity discovered and harnessed by white men? Why are you living in a country of white men? You have the opportunity to leave. Oh, but wait a minute. You can't leave because you would have to travel by boat or airplane. You would have to travel by airplane. And guess who invented the airplane? A white man. That's right. Now, why don't you put your money where your mouth is and show us how much you hate white people? Show us how much you detest whiteness and put down your computer, put down your microphone, put down your car. You want to leave the country? Walk there, swim there. It's so disgusting to have to think in these terms, but this is what the left does. Congratulations, left. You done woke the sleeping beast. Wait a minute, am I allowed to say you done woke the sleeping beast? That sounds a little Ebonicsy. This is Brett Segal, the Disgruntled Millennial. Get me at Shaq General on Twitter. We'll be right back.
Kevin Jackson on the Black Sphere Radio Network.
Do you owe back taxes to the IRS or state? The secret to avoiding the IRS nightmare is to seek professional representation. My friends at Security Tax Associates provide the most cost-effective and ethical representation in the industry while helping to avoid seizures, levies, and wage garnishments.